You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey Days fans, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and we have got to talk about Harris Michael's shooting on the loading docks behind the Bistro. It was definitely a man that shot him, or at least a very hairy arm with a very thick bone structure and a pretty big hand in a glove. So I'm assuming a guy. Ava Vitali called Tripp to come help, and then he had Wendy Shin call 911. Things look dire, and we are going to talk about Harris's fate. But first, please click subscribe if you have not. So the EMTs showed up at the Bistro, but things looked really dire by the time they got there. Tripp was doing life-saving activities, CPR, but then he lost Harris's pulse. He finally got the detective breathing again, but it definitely looked bad as they carted him away to the ambulance. He was really, out of it. He had lost a lot of blood. He'd been shot in the chest. That's never a good thing. Tripp is very concerned. And of course, everybody knows by now that Steve Burton has wrapped his run on Days of Our Lives. So is Harris about to die? Is that how the actor exits? So in case you didn't know it, Steve Burton has gone back to General Hospital to reprise his longtime role over there of mob enforcer Jason Morgan. His first air date at General Hospital is in just a couple of weeks. It's on March 4th if you're interested in seeing it. So is this shooting how Burton exits the NBC Peacock soap opera? Is Harris Michaels dead and gone? Is this the end of the man that Ava Vitali just finally admitted that she loves? Well, I will say this, it definitely doesn't look good. The spoilers for Tuesday, February 13th say Ava and Stefan realize just how serious things are and just how dangerous things are now that Clyde Weston has come totally unhinged about what's happening to his drug operation. By the way, there are no Harris Michaels spoilers for the rest of this week. So that definitely seems like things are not going well for him. However, I've already seen the spoilers for the following week, the week of the 19th through the 23rd, and there are spoilers for Harris Michaels then. What that means is that he will survive the initial trauma of the shooting, but he is going to remain unconscious and in critical condition all of this week and all of next week. That means there's a chance Harris might not pull through. Spoilers for Friday, February 23rd say Harris remains unconscious even then, so maybe going into a third week. Ava Vitali is at his bedside at the hospital, watching over him, waiting and worrying. While she sits there with him, while he's still not waking up, she starts confessing things to him. So I do wonder if anybody overhears her, or perhaps just her being there talking to him will wake Harris up at last. Earlier that week, around the 22nd, I think, Ava admits to Rafe that she was conspiring with Harris and tells him about the secret deal they had going. This is all very, very bad news, but at least the noose is tightening around Clyde Weston's neck. I mean, Clyde arranged the shooting of an officer, as well as the arson of one of Salem's historic homes, and then the attempted shooting of a witness that was supposed to be hidden from everyone, and that is on top of the continual drug overdoses and drug raids that they've conducted that are racking up piles of illegal opioids they've seized and gotten off the streets. The big question is, who shot Harris? Who lured him there? And is he going to survive this? I will say I'm quite certain Harris Michaels will not die as a result of this gunshot wound, although it is serious enough for him to be basically comatose for at least the next 2 weeks of episodes. I know this because Days shoots 6 months ahead, and Steve Burton was still filming there in December of 2023. That means his last air date on Days of Our Lives should come in June or maybe at the end of May's sweeps. So I do have to say that at that point, they may kill him off because Burton has made it clear he wants to finish out his career over at General Hospital. He is 53 years old now, and he says he's looking to retire from soaps in just a few years. I think he said within the next 2 or 3 years. I think he said 2 or 3, not 3 or 4, but in the range of, say, 3 years. So there's really no reason for Days of Our Lives to hold that role open. And it definitely doesn't need a recast because he was a really, really minor minor character from the late 80s that they only resurrected because they had the chance to hire Steve Burton because he had to leave GH because of their vaccine mandate. So they were scooping up a brand name, and showrunner Ron Carlivati knows Steve very well because they worked together for years over at GH. Of course, Days was Burton's first daytime gig, and if you recall, Harris was a jerk that went to high school with Eve Donovan and he tormented her. That's why they did that callback and they brought Cassie DePaiva back to do just that one episode as Eve when Harris was at Bayview Mental Hospital and Eve was there as well. And they had that one scene where she kind of like let it go. So back in 1988, Burton did just 12 episodes as Harris on Days of Our Lives before he moved on to other things. Between the two soaps, between Days and GH, Burton had a recurring major role on the NBC sitcom Out of This World, where a teenage girl finds out her dad is an alien. Sounds like quality TV. On that show, Burton played a teen surfer who was the lead character's high school boyfriend, and when that wrapped, he went right over to GH. So he was on Days in 88, and then from like 87 to 91, I think, or 88 to 91. He did the sitcom. 91, he went to General Hospital. And now he is back there again. And in case you didn't know it, the Ava Vitali actress Tamara Braun also has a very long history on General Hospital. She at one time played Carly Corinthos, who's this front burner character. She was a big love interest and longtime best friend of Burton's character, Jason. And she also played Dr. Kim Nero, who was the baby mama of Jason's identical twin brother, who doesn't look like him anymore because of facial surgery. It's insane. First, he was played by Billy Miller and then by Cameron Matheson, who, of course, especially Billy Miller, doesn't look anything like Burton and is a decade younger. At least Matheson is a little more, height and build, the same sort of guy. Anyway, Tamara Braun and Steve Burton have worked together since 2001. They were scene partners up until she left GH back in 2005. And that leads me to my next big question. Although Harris survives this shooting, Burton's off screen for good in about 4.5 months, give or take. I wonder if they are going to kill off Harris like in May Sweeps, or if they're going to keep him alive, but maybe he and Ava Vitali leave town together. Watch and wait, but if you are worried whether that gunshot wound to the chest kills Harris Michaels, it does not. Plus, once he wakes up, he should be able to identify his attacker because he recognized the person. And although Rafe, in the meantime, before Harris wakes up, is going to try and blame Xander for several of Clyde's crimes, he is absolutely not the one that shot Harris. The outfit the shooter was wearing was close to what Xander was wearing, but not an exact match. They were both tall guys in jogging pants and sneakers, but the sneakers were very different. The jogging pants were very different. It's all a red herring. All right, that is your Harris Michaels update. It's going to be touch and go, but he should make it, and we will have a few more months of Steve Burton before his on-screen exit. Please click subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely drop your comments on this shooting and who you think did it, and be sure and come back soon. As always, we are here talking Days of Our Lives 7 days a week, and this is Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.